You don't wake up one morning and suddenly fall out of love. That's not how relationships end. Chutta, it's far more subtle than that. It's the quiet sigh when your partner speaks. The polite, nothing's wrong, when something clearly is. It's the way you stop saying goodnight. Not because you're angry, but because it just doesn't feel worth it anymore. Relationships rarely break with a bang. Most of them die a slow, silent death, strangled by tiny invisible habits we barely notice until it's too late. Take Emma and Josh, for example. On paper, they were perfect. No screaming matches, no betrayals, just stillness, a dull ache, a sense of loneliness that hung in the air like fog. They didn't know what had gone wrong, but if you looked closely, you'd see the culprits. Not dramatic betrayals, but subtle patterns repeated day after day. Let's talk about those habits, the ones quietly poisoning connection. Here's one, micro-dismissals. You probably do this without thinking. Your partner says, "I'm so stressed about tomorrow's meeting." And you reply, "You'll be fine. Don't overthink it." You meant to reassure. But what they heard was, "Your feelings aren't valid." Over time, these little dismissals add up. They teach your partner to keep their thoughts to themselves. And that silence becomes safer than honesty. And then there's scorekeeping, that mental ledger you secretly keep. You unloaded the dishwasher 3 times this week. They only did it once. You remembered their sister's birthday. They forgot your mom's. It's not about fairness. It's about resentment. Keeping score turns love into a competition, not a connection. And nobody wins. Another quiet killer, chronic distraction. We think of cheating as the ultimate betrayal, but attention is just as powerful. If your phone gets more eye contact than your partner, it sends a message louder than words ever could. You're not as interesting as this screen. I'm not fully here with you. Now, here's a sneaky one. Emotional outsourcing. It's when you rely on your partner to meet every single emotional need. Your therapist, your cheerleader, your constant source of validation. Sounds romantic? It's not. It's overwhelming. No one person can carry the weight of your self-worth. And when they inevitably fall short, you'll resent them for failing a job they never signed up for. But here's one you might really not expect. Too much politeness. Yes, being too polite can be a problem. You avoid difficult conversations to keep the peace. You don't express frustration because it's not worth the fight. You smile through the tension. You shrink your needs to avoid discomfort. But love without conflict isn't peace. It's avoidance. And when you stop being honest, you stop being real. You want a twist? Some of the worst habits are born from good intentions. Take over-accommodating. It feels like love, You give up your preferences, your hobbies, your alone time, because whatever makes them happy. At first it feels selfless, noble even, but over time you disappear. And when you lose yourself, your partner doesn't fall more in love. They fall in love with a ghost. There's also passive withdrawal. It's not slamming doors or giving the cold shoulder. It's more subtle than that. It's the "I'm fine" that never turns into a real conversation. The skipped kisses, the muted reactions, the steady drip of emotional disengagement that feels less like a breakup and more like a slow fade to black. And let's not forget routine without romance. You function well as a team. Meals are cooked, bills are paid, logistics managed. But somewhere in between the laundry and the emails, you stopped dating each other. You stopped flirting, touching, surprising. Love needs novelty. Even small gestures, a random compliment, a stolen kiss in the hallway, remind your partner they are cherished, not just tolerated. Want to know another habit that quietly destroys connection? Interruptions disguised as efficiency. You finish their sentences, correct their stories. Assume you know what they're about to say. It saves time, right? But over time, it also tells your partner, I don't need to hear you. I already know. When someone doesn't feel heard, they eventually stop speaking. Then there's comparison. Not the obvious, toxic kind. The silent comparisons to your friends' relationships, to your parents, to the highlight reels on social media. Why can't we be like that? It sours the relationship with unspoken disappointment and unrealistic expectations. You start resenting your partner not for who they are, but for who they aren't. Let's go back to Emma and Josh. Remember them. They didn't yell. They didn't lie. They just stopped showing up. Josh stopped asking questions. Emma stopped sharing how she really felt. They spent time together, but not really with each other. And one day, Emma sat across from Josh at dinner and thought, I feel completely alone, and I'm not even single. It's not the grand gestures that hold a relationship together. It's the tiny moments, how you greet each other, how you listen, how you make someone feel seen in the middle of an ordinary day. Here's a fascinating fact. Research from the Gottman Institute shows that couples who last don't avoid negativity. They repair quickly. They catch the subtle drift and redirect the connection. They notice when the laughter disappears, when the texts turn cold, when the eye contact fades, and they don't wait until it becomes a crisis to do something about it. So, let's flip the question. If subtle habits can destroy love, then subtle shifts can rebuild it. Start here. When your partner speaks, pause, look up, listen like they're the most important person in the world, because they are. Catch yourself before you say, you're overreacting. Try. Tell me more about that. Replace politeness with honesty wrapped in kindness. Replace scorekeeping with gratitude. Replace distraction with presence. Bring back those small romantic moments. Write them a note. Touch their arm as you pass. Whisper something sweet before bed. Tiny sparks keep the fire from going out. Taint him, and most importantly, don't wait until things are bad to start trying. Healthy relationships aren't about not messing up. They're about noticing when you do and coming back to repair. Because love isn't a feeling. It's a choice you make over and over again. Tiny habits, tiny moments. That's where relationships live. And sometimes that's where they quietly die. The question is, are you paying attention?